I never thought the man I trusted with my heart would betray me in the cruelest way possible while I was carrying his child. Before I begin, I want to pause for a moment to thank you for being here with me. Your support means more than words can ever capture. If you find yourself connecting to my story, please like this video, subscribe for more powerful stories, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters, and together we can build a community where truth and healing are not silenced. The story begins on a warm spring morning in Ohio. I was 27 years old, swollen with the weight of our first child, and glowing with the kind of innocence only a woman in love carries. My husband, Mark, had been pacing all morning, checking his watch, his phone, and then me, as if I were both his prize and his burden. "Today is the day," he said, finally breaking his silence at the breakfast table. "You will meet my parents. I want them to see the woman who is carrying my child." "You deserve that." My heart leapt. For months I had been waiting for this introduction. I had married Mark quickly, swept up in his confidence, his charm, and the security he promised me. But there had always been a shadow, the strange distance between him and his family. Whenever I asked, he brushed me off with vague excuses, family tensions, old wounds, cultural differences. Yet now, with his eyes steady and voice firm, I believed this was the moment when all barriers would fall. I spent the morning getting ready, brushing my hair into loose curls, slipping into a modest maternity dress that hugged my belly just enough to show the life growing inside me. I wanted his family to see the woman he had chosen, to feel proud of me, to know I would honor their name. When he opened the car door for me, I felt my chest swell with joy. For once, everything seemed perfect. The ride began with laughter and light conversation. Mark spoke of his mother's cooking, his father's love for old country music, and his siblings' wild sense of humor. I listened eagerly, painting pictures in my head of a family table filled with warmth, of in-laws who would embrace me, of belonging. But as the miles stretched on, something shifted. The scenery grew unfamiliar. The neighborhoods we passed looked worn down, not the kind of place I imagined his parents would live. My nerves began to flutter. "Mark, where do your parents live exactly?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He glanced at me quickly, his jaw tightening before he forced a smile. "Do not worry, we are almost there." The car rolled to a stop in front of a weathered motel, its flickering neon sign casting an eerie glow in the afternoon light. My heart dropped. This was not a family home. This was not a place of welcome. "Why are we here?" I asked, clutching my belly instinctively. Mark turned to me, his expression unreadable. "Trust me. This is part of it." He got out and opened my door with the same chivalry he had always shown, but now it felt hollow. My feet hesitated as they touched the cracked pavement. Something deep within me whispered danger. Inside the motel lobby, the air reeked of stale smoke and cheap cleaning supplies. A man with greasy hair and tired eyes nodded at Mark, as if they were old acquaintances. They exchanged words I could not hear clearly, but I caught fragments: room ready, cash, 2 hours. My skin went cold. "Mark, what is going on?" I demanded, my voice trembling. He did not answer me directly. Instead, he took my hand and led me down a dim hallway. When he stopped in front of a door and slid a keycard inside, I felt my knees weaken. The room was dark, lit only by a single lamp with a crooked shade. The bedspread was patterned with stains that told stories of desperation and lust. My stomach turned. Before I could gather my thoughts, a stranger stepped inside. He was tall, his eyes cold, his smile unsettling. He looked at me as though I were merchandise. My heart pounded as realization struck like lightning. Mark had not brought me here to meet his family. He had brought me here to sell me. "Mark!" I cried, my voice breaking. "What are you doing?" "I am your wife. I am carrying your child." His face hardened. "We need the money. You will be fine. Do not make this harder than it has to be." Tears blurred my vision as I stumbled backward, pressing my hand protectively against my belly. "How could you?" How could you betray me like this? The stranger moved closer, his hand reaching for me. Panic surged through me like fire. My breaths came short, my body trembling as I searched for escape. The door behind him was closed. Mark stood by the wall, avoiding my eyes, as though he had already surrendered me. In that moment, something fierce rose inside me. I was not only fighting for myself but for the tiny heartbeat inside me. I was not a possession. I was not a thing to be traded. I was a mother. I turned my gaze to Mark, hatred and disbelief burning through my tears. If you let this happen, you are no man. You are nothing but a coward. He flinched, his jaw clenching, but he did not move. The stranger took another step forward. And then, I made my decision. I reached for the nearest object on the dresser, a chipped lamp, and lifted it with all the strength left in my body. Standing in that dingy motel room, a lamp raised in trembling hands, staring down a man who thought he could buy me, and a husband who had already sold me. Would I strike? Would I survive? Would my child survive? The chipped lamp shook in my hands as though it carried the weight of my fear. My breath came in shallow gasps, but my grip tightened, my body instinctively shielding my swollen belly. The stranger chuckled, a low, rasping sound that made my stomach churn. Put that down, sweetheart, he said, his voice dripping with condescension. You will only hurt yourself. I did not respond. My eyes darted between him and Mark. My husband, my supposed protector, stood there with his arms folded, leaning against the wall as though he were a spectator instead of my partner. His silence screamed louder than any words could. Mark, I whispered, my voice cracking. Please, tell me this is not what I think it is. For a flicker of a moment, guilt flashed across his face, but it vanished quickly, swallowed by something colder. We need the money, Anna. You said you wanted a safe future for the baby. This is the only way. My knees buckled, my heart tearing in two. Selling me is not protecting us. It is destroying us. The stranger stepped closer, his eyes hungry, his hand reaching for my arm. Instinct roared within me. With a desperate cry, I swung the lamp. It crashed against his shoulder with a sickening thud. He staggered backward, cursing, clutching his arm. For a split second, silence filled the room, thick, heavy, suffocating. Then chaos erupted. You stupid, the stranger roared, lunging at me. I stumbled backward, hitting the dresser hard. Pain shot through my spine, but adrenaline carried me. I grabbed the drawer handle and yanked it open, shoving it into his chest. Stop. Mark barked, rushing forward. But he was not rushing to help me. He was trying to calm his customer. That was the moment the truth crystallized. My husband had chosen money over me, over our child, over love. He was not my partner anymore, he was my betrayer. Fueled by terror, I bolted for the door. My belly felt heavy, but my legs moved faster than I thought possible. I twisted the knob, flung the door open, and sprinted down the dim hallway, the carpet muffling my frantic footsteps. Behind me, I heard shouting. The stranger's curses mixed with Mark's desperate pleas. Do not let her get away. The words shattered me. My own husband wanted me trapped. I stumbled through the lobby, the front desk clerk barely glancing up as I burst outside into the night air. The neon sign buzzed overhead, the darkness of the parking lot stretching before me. My heart pounded like a war drum as I spotted the highway beyond. But before I could reach the street, strong hands grabbed me from behind. I screamed, thrashing wildly, clawing at the air. Anna. Mark's voice hissed in my ear. Stop fighting. You are going to hurt the baby. I spun around, shoving him with every ounce of strength. You already hurt the baby the moment you sold me. His face twisted with rage. You do not understand. This is bigger than us. I owed him money. If I did not pay, he would kill me. My chest heaved. Betrayal burned hot in my veins. So you thought the solution was to sacrifice me instead? To sell your pregnant wife like I was property? He froze, shame flickering again. But then his jaw set, and he reached for my wrist. Come back inside. Now. I slapped his hand away. Touch me again, and I swear, I will scream loud enough for the whole damn world to hear. The stranger emerged from the motel doorway, his shadow stretching across the cracked pavement. Do not let her go, Mark. She owes me now. Something inside me snapped. No more pleading. No more waiting for someone else to save me. I was done being a victim. I turned on my heel and ran toward the highway, the night air biting at my lungs. Horns blared as I stumbled onto the road, headlights blinding me. A truck screeched to a halt just feet away. The driver, a grizzled man in his 50s, jumped out. Lady, are you insane? You could have been killed. Tears streamed down my face as I pointed back at the motel. Please, help me. He is trying to sell me. I am pregnant. Please, do not let them take me back. The driver's expression hardened as he looked past me at the two figures standing by the motel. Get in the truck, he said firmly. I climbed into the cab, clutching my belly, sobbing uncontrollably. For the first time that night, I felt a sliver of safety. As the truck roared away, I glanced back through the rear window. Mark stood there, frozen, watching me disappear. His face was a mixture of fury and loss, as if he knew he had just lost more than he ever bargained for. But deep in my gut, I knew this was not the end. Mark was desperate, dangerous, and tied to men who would not let me walk away easily. The road stretched before me, dark and uncertain, but I knew one thing, would fight for my child, even if it meant burning every bridge behind me. And as the truck carried me away into the night, a chilling thought clawed its way into my mind. What if Mark came after me? What if he would rather see me destroyed than see me free? The hum of the truck's engine was the only sound cutting through the silence of my sobs. My hands rested protectively over my belly, the baby's gentle kicks reminding me why I had to keep moving forward. The driver glanced at me, his weathered face lined with concern. You safe with me now, he said quietly. Name's Hank. You need the police. You need to tell someone what he tried to do. Police. The word echoed in my mind like a lifeline and a threat all at once. I wanted justice, but fear coiled tightly in my stomach. What if no one believed me? What if Mark found me before they could protect me? Still, I nodded. Yes, please. Take me to the police. We arrived at a small-town sheriff's office. The fluorescent lights were harsh, the air cold. I told my story in trembling detail, the motel, the stranger, the cash exchanged, the betrayal of the man I had married. The sheriff, a tall man with piercing eyes, leaned back in his chair when I finished. Ma'am, what you are saying is serious. Are you prepared to press charges against your husband? My throat tightened. Press charges. It sounded so final. But I remembered Mark's eyes as he stood by that motel wall, cold, unfeeling, complicit. He had chosen money over me. Over our child. Yes, I said firmly. I want him held accountable. The days that followed were a blur of statements, paperwork, and fear. I stayed in a shelter for women, surrounded by others who carried stories of betrayal and survival. Their strength reminded me I was not alone, even though my pain felt singular. One night, as I lay in the shelter bed, I thought of the life growing inside me. I whispered to my baby, you will never know the man who tried to sell us. You will only know love, protection, and freedom. But then, the nightmares began. I dreamed of Mark breaking into the shelter, dragging me back to that motel. I woke up drenched in sweat, heart racing, hand instinctively clutching my stomach. The sheriff called me a week later. We have arrested your husband, he said. Turns out he was deep in debt with dangerous people. He owed money for gambling, drugs, you name it. He thought selling you would clear some of it. I sat there in silence, absorbing the words. My husband, my Mark, was not just a betrayer. He was a man drowning in secrets, willing to sacrifice anyone to stay afloat. The trial was brutal. I sat in the courtroom, my belly larger now, my baby restless inside me as if sensing my anguish. Mark avoided my eyes. When he finally spoke, his words cut deep. "I never meant to hurt her," he said. "I was desperate. I thought I had no choice." I stood and faced him, my voice steady despite the tremble in my legs. "You had a choice. And you chose to betray the woman who trusted you. You chose to betray your own child." The jury took only hours to decide. Guilty. He was sentenced to years in prison. Walking out of that courthouse felt like stepping into sunlight after years underground. The air tasted new, crisp, alive. But healing was not instant. There were scars, emotional, invisible, but deep. I learned to live without him, to build strength from the ashes of betrayal. I attended therapy, joined support groups, and found purpose in speaking out about what I had endured. The day I gave birth, I held my baby in my arms, tears streaming down my face. A daughter. Her tiny fingers wrapped around mine as if promising that love still existed, even after devastation. I whispered to her, "You are my new beginning. I will never let anyone hurt you the way I was hurt. We will rise from this together." Years have passed now. Mark sits in prison, his name nothing more than a bitter memory. My daughter is thriving, full of laughter and light. And I am stronger than I ever thought possible. Sometimes, when I look back, I wonder how close I came to losing everything in that motel room. But then I remember the moment I lifted that lamp, the moment I ran into the night, the moment I chose survival over silence. That choice defined me. It saved me. And it gave my daughter a future. If you are listening to my story today, know this: you are not alone. Betrayal may shatter your world, but it does not have to define you. No one has the right to sell your worth, to silence your voice, or to steal your future. You can rise. You can break free. And you can create a new beginning, just as I did. So if my story touched you, please like this video, share it with someone who may need hope, and subscribe for more stories of strength and survival. Comment your thoughts below. I want to hear your voice, your truth, your journey. Together, we can transform pain into power.